So tell me about the worst customer situation you've had. You're new in restaurant service. I know for a fact you get some Karens here and there. I know it. Tell me about your worst one. So let's get back to group therapy, man. When did you guys open the doors?
We opened on June 17th, 2022.
Yeah.
When did you like break ground on construction?
We started construction in October of 21.
Okay. So a little less than a year. That's pretty
Yeah.
The building was already there. Y'all just had to upfit the inside, right?
It was a cold, dark shell.
Yeah. Concrete.
All concrete.
Yeah.
Not a single piece of drywall.
It's a nice place. Perfect location.
Gosh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think, of course, y'all are probably similar in all the things that you wish you had known about the operation of your business after you've opened, right?
Yeah.
Camperdown Plaza in Greenville is stunning. It's amazing. It's also tucked away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We don't have Main Street visibility. We don't even have a Broad Street or Main Street address. We have a Fall Street address. And
I noticed that. Yeah.
that trips people up quite a bit. And they're like, where is it? And all you got to do is we're next to Jenny's Ice Cream. Oh, okay. I'm like, wait, what does Jenny's have over us? Come on. Just the best ice cream in the world. Okay, cool.
Touche.
Yeah. So that usually helps. So the landmark component has kind of helped that barrier, but we're also next to the AC hotels, which works. And if people don't know where that is, or the Peace Center, for goodness sake, then you really are fresh to Greenville.
For sure.
But yeah, Camperdown's great. That was exciting for me, not having a construction background or operations background, learning the process from that cold, dark shell and have all the MEPs, not just, the work done, but like architecturally, like you've got to have that planned out so you know what's going to be done inside it. And working through that process and bidding it out, getting contractors and subcontractors and seeing it come to life was a really cool experience. And I guess I missed this part out. After Verizon, I was working for a company building out trampoline parks all over the world. So I was their director of sales and design. So I started kind of using my art degree with the design component. Now, it wasn't like an architectural design kind of side of the business. It was like more or less site planning and layout. Hey, we're going to put a trampoline dodgeball court here, and we're going to put your foam pit over there, and using their plans to kind of make best use of their space for the attraction equipment.
Yeah.
But that really did help come in handy when we started to design and build out group therapy.
Absolutely.
So, because I had a little bit of experience and really with my kind of my art mind, I can kind of take something that's 2D on paper and really know what that's going to look like in 3D.
Yeah.
So we did all the layouts and got all the people in place to do all the construction, and it was just really such a fun experience to see it come to life.
Must have been a little difficult too, not having the background to do certain things like that and trying to do it from scratch. It's pretty tough.
A little bit. Yeah. I think the biggest challenge is, okay, should it really take 2.5 months to do the electrical? There was no frame of reference of like,
or even cost.
Or cost. Like, is that a good price?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Looks all right.
Yeah. And so there was a balance there, and luckily we had a great GC that we had some experience with before that just was phenomenal. And we didn't really have like a timeline. People were like, well, when do you need this by? I was like, just as soon as possible. Is that not a good enough answer for you? And so we just worked through that. And I don't know if it's similar in y'all's business, but at least with ours, when you are ramping up towards a grand opening, when you're opening your doors for consumers, really the best time to open is really as soon as you can, right? There's from a timing perspective, there's really no better time other than as fast as you can.
For sure.
Yeah.
So it was just a go as hard as you can.
Especially if you got
get some
holding
money
costs and all
coming in.
that stuff. You're putting out of pocket. You just need to get open. Just start making some revenue. That's tough. What's some tough things that you've dealt with since you've actually opened?
Well, the employees.
And
and also
you mentioned cost of goods.
Cost of goods, labor, cost of goods.
It's not a good time to jump into a restaurant when price of goods are at an all-time high and labor's at an all-time low. It's like, what did you have to do to get through that?
Yeah. From a labor perspective, we've actually had very little turnover other than what we haven't wanted to keep on ourselves.
Sure.
That was probably the biggest problem is, man, I am very much a empathetic, really connector people person with a very terrible judge and character from an initial conversation.
Yeah.
So, there were some decisions that I made, hiring decisions that didn't work out, and maybe that's true elsewhere, but I had to work through those. There was several that took a long time to figure out. Oh gosh,
that's not the right fit.
No,
yeah.
not the right fit. And there were some that were immediate, and I'd never had to fire anybody, and so learning how to do that was difficult. Otherwise, the staff that we've had, some of the OGs, have been incredible.
Awesome.
And I had heard the sentiment: it's much cheaper to keep an employee than it is to hire a new one and train them and all that. And I fully understand and grasp what that really means now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that consistency to our guest, I think, is a great thing too, where they can see a bartender that they had last time that they really loved.
Absolutely.
That resonates a lot with a restaurant, because some people just come to that restaurant for that one person,
Mm-hmm.
especially a bartender.
Absolutely.
Cost of goods, yeah. I mean, we aren't a traditional kitchen where we have really big giant walk-in freezers or fridges. And our style of kitchen is different. We don't use any stovetops or grease traps or fryers. We use all convection oven equipment, which is becoming a lot more popular. But because of that, it's different. And when you're hiring line cooks who are used to, grilling things on a stovetop or fryers, them learning, even though it's easier to operate this, it's different. And then not having the luxury of having as much space for storage as possible in a space like ours has been a challenge, keeping things in inventory, because you don't know what's going to be popular. You know, you don't know if the funnel fries are going to sell well and how many cases you should get.
And as you mentioned before, you don't want to run out of something and give them that experience of, hey, we don't have it or something like that.
Yeah.
And you also don't want to waste money on holding inventory.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Do we really need 4 cases of funnel fries? We think they'll be good, but we don't know how our consumers are going to react to how tasty they are.
Especially being new too, like you have no data to look back at.
Yeah.
Zero data.
But as you grow and get into multiple years, then I'm sure it'll probably be a lot easier.
Did you have to learn all those positions? Did you take a moment to go on the line, cook, feel like what that's like, so that way you kind of have a better idea of the process, so that way you can kind of educate and build that?
Yeah, my kitchen manager tries to keep me away from it as much as possible, which is probably smart.
I mean, listen, your job is your job for a reason, right?
Yeah, and I feel like I'm doing my job by hiring really talented people where I don't necessarily have to be in there. What I did do was, I needed to learn and understand the process. So I've been in there plenty of times and been in the bar industry. There's a back bar kind of position where you're extra set of hands to refill ice bins and maybe juice lemons and limes. And so in the kitchen too, I've kind of filled that role and watched, observed, and because I want to have a full 100% understanding of how this business is run.
Yeah.
But our guest and my kitchen manager do not want me actually making and preparing food.
That's good if they can handle it though. Yeah.
So
for sure, I'm a firm believer. Everybody has their role, and you're best suited as point man or lead man, not point man. So knowing what you know about the restaurant industry now, being brand new, diving into business, do you have any regrets jumping in the restaurant business? Are you falling in love with it? Where are you at? Where do you stand as far as that point of view?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
When I walk through our facility and I hear people laughing and giving high fives, yelling, screaming that they got a hole in one or a bullseye at the axe throwing, it's what makes me want to get up in the morning, just to be able to serve others in the community in the capacity that we've been able to. Has been awesome. And from the restaurant side, providing a space where people can come and hang out and drink and cheer on Clemson and sing karaoke.
Yeah.
Man, it's what I've enjoyed the most that I'm really grateful for on a daily basis.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Sounds like you're right where you need to be. What's your plan for group therapy? Are you planning more locations? What's going on there?
Yeah, we are. I mean, I'd love to grow as fast as we can.
Nationwide or?
Yeah. I mean,
nice.
Internationally too. I mean, there's no reason this concept doesn't work everywhere. I am only one person, and money is limited
for sure.
So, but I'm actually starting today, stepping out of the GM role and becoming more of a CEO of our parent corporation to be able to focus on growth. And so we've had a few LOIs and locations under review and negotiation now that we're doing some site plans on and some feasibility studies, and that we're going to probably pursue pretty heavily in 2023.
Well,
and so,
awesome.
my goal is to have at least a second one under construction this year, if not open. And I think 2024 and beyond, I think that growth could be exponential.
Absolutely.
Because you'll have so many more people working in the business. You'll be able to maybe pick out and pluck out some of your A players.
Absolutely. And then you have proven models that you can now you can start really using other people's money.
Right.
And that's the key. And you touched on money a little bit, so I want to back up to that. So when you had the thought of group therapy, is it just something, is it money that you had saved up? Like, how did you really, I think this is important to a lot of people like that don't have money, to realize that you can, without money, you can still pursue your dreams. So I wanted to touch about how'd you fund open group therapy? Like, was it investors? Was it?
Yeah. So luckily, through helping others open trampoline parks and other amusement parks, I got to see over, I think my count on trampoline parks was like 250 by the time I left. But over and over, some of those, of course, people had accumulated wealth, but over and over, I saw people who either were spending their life savings or had no money at all, but just had the will to put this into existence, open up. So it was a great example of how that's done and what were the steps necessary in order to get to the point of opening up when you're on your own. And so I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a couple, maybe $20,000 in my name, and wasn't clearly enough to open up the facility that we did. Or the financial prowess to go up into a bank with even with my suit on.
Give me a loan.
I would like a loan for $3 million.
I got 20 grand.
So I luckily made a lot of connections through our trampoline park industry, and I had so what basically here were the steps is like, I have this idea, but I have no money. Okay, well, what's the natural next step? Well, let's create a logo. That doesn't cost me any money. I was an art major. I can probably do that. Let's create a logo. Okay, logo. That's a cool logo. Everybody loves it. Cool. Let's create a pitch deck, short kind of business plan sort of that gives an introductory to what the concept is. All right, that's cool. Well, this idea kind of was molded from other examples in our industry through other venues, and they have lots of collateral and videos out there on YouTube and on their websites. Why don't I take those, reappropriate them, and make a pitch video? So I spliced this video together of a couple axe throwing places, a couple of mini golf places, a couple of bar and restaurants that I thought were cool. Hey, let's put that video together. Now I've got a pitch video of what this place is going to look and feel like.
Cool. That's awesome.
Created a little small Wix website on my own. And then I was like, okay, this is gaining some momentum, and I've got this collateral if I can tell others of what this idea and concept is. And then I got some business plans from other people and off the internet of people who've done these before for bars and restaurants, and kind of used that as framework and did it for myself. And now I have tangible things of what this business is going to be, and and it was all really beautifully designed. I can't tell you how many bankers I showed this business plan to that's graphically designed. I mean, it's not. Yeah. It wasn't necessarily a PowerPoint. It was actually better than a PowerPoint, and it wasn't like a white paper. And they're like, oh my gosh, this was so much fun to read. And they go, I wouldn't tell you how many times I've just flipped through this Word document that was
this is what
so
I want to do.
Yeah. He was like, you have images and you've got this video and you've got a tangible website I can go to. And that added so much credibility and legitimacy to my idea. They were like, I finished reading this. I was convinced you were on your second and third one.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Especially coming from no real business background, no restaurant background, no development background, like to build that from scratch. And that's insane. I mean,
well, I think that goes to show you too, like the extra effort you put into stuff, the better results you get.
Yeah.
I remember one point in business when we only had a year underneath our belt and we were trying to switch insurance providers for the trucks. And like the insurance provider we were trying to go with, they only took you if you had 2 or 3 years of lost run records. So they denied me the first time. When they denied me, I sent in like my resume. I sent in like, I went all above, and then they accepted me. And like from that little bit of effort going above and beyond, we saved like $80,000 a year on truck insurance.
Yeah.
So it goes to show you like it's really what you put into it. Like no is not always the answer.
Exactly.
You can run through no's left and right. Like don't take no as like that's it, final destination type thing. Like.
Yeah, and how do you stand out? I mean,
how do you stand out in a world of, there's
everybody's looking for a loan.
Yeah.
What can you do differently? And then, so did you end up getting just a loan from a regular bank?
Yeah, I ended up getting an SBA loan, but I had to have 2 other financial partners.
Okay.
So I did end up partnering with others that I had met through our trampoline park industry because it was going to be essentially their financial background that helped secure the loan.
For sure.
Banks, they want something to take back if it doesn't work out, which, okay, it makes it, but this wasn't going to fail. So, whatever. But they came on and we got an SBA loan through a bank. One of the challenges that we faced was we basically got to the altar with the bank and had a commitment letter in hand, and all of a sudden at the very end, they wanted to change the terms.
That's insane.
I was like, wait, no. And so out of spite, basically, because we could have signed, we still had the money. They're like, we still want to give it to you, but it's going to be higher interest rates. It's going to be
different terms.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, fine. So I literally went to 7 different banks, and in 2 weeks' time had 4 other letters of intent, not commitment letters, but letters of intent, and chose the one that gave me the warm and fuzzy feelings that they weren't going to dump me, on the aisle again. And we ended up getting one through a local, kind of a regional local bank, which I think are the best to work with ideas like this. So
absolutely.
Not too big, not too small.
Yeah.
They can have the money but they don't have like the crazy restrictions to do it. I think that's one thing that I've learned too, as far as entrepreneurship goes. Stop going to those big banks like Wells Fargo and stuff. Yeah. The first thing they're going to do is ask you how much money you have liquid. And if you don't have like 25,000, they're going to tell you to keep walking,
Absolutely. And they're a lot more structured and like systematized with process. Like they have to follow certain things.
Yeah.
Like finding like a perfect size operation for you.
That's really important. I don't think people realize that.
Build a relationship.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's what it took. I mean, we tried some of the big name banks, and their portfolio is just so risk adverse. Yeah. Unless you're a national brand or a certain type of industry that they feel comfortable with. But restaurant bar, like what we said, is just riskier to them.
Chance most likely that's not going to make it, but especially something that's a new concept, hasn't been proven yet.
Right.
You don't have the track record.
Yeah.
So it's a lot for them to risk if they do it. But it's awesome. It's awesome that somebody actually saw that faith in you too to make it happen, and what you've done so far with it's been pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I feel like y'all are kind of like the first in y'all's category in the area. Now that group therapy is open, I start seeing other places open around the area that may not be similar or may not be like the exact same, but is very similar. And I don't want to like name off names, but I've seen them like pop up here and there. All kinds of like new stuff, like even just like social lounge, like BYOB social lounge and like game centers and stuff like that.
Have you had any issues with that?
No. And we encourage the competition. And honestly, early on, I took the approach of, why would I be this person's enemy?
Yeah.
Yep.
like that just isn't a good way of doing it. It's a distraction.
For sure.
It's such a distraction to focus your attention on being mad at somebody else or whatever. And so this other person who's opened something similar in Greenville, man, we've hung out together. We actually met up at a bar and restaurant trade show and went to Top Golf together, and we shared ideas because we understand that the benefit of sharing ideas and being able to play off each other's strengths, and learn from each other is a much better value to both of us than just being at odds and being enemies and spending marketing dollars to fight each other. And
for sure.
And it'd be such a distraction to the ultimate goal that I want to see, which is to continue to grow. And so they've just opened and had quite a bit of success, and I'm so happy for them. And too, it's just a big enough market. I had to really. At first, it was a gut check, like, oh my gosh, but Greenville is such a big market that there's enough to go around,
and it's only going to keep growing.
Only going to keep growing.
Yeah.
So not that I'm aware of it, but it would be a waste of time and energy to be afraid of it. I just welcome it and, partner up and just be friends.
Well, I think it's beneficial too to have that little bit of competition because it'll keep driving you to do better and make the system better, make the experience better for the clients, and work on costs, all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It helps set standards, like to expectations. Like, if you've got a good competition out there, that helps you set your standards,
right,
and motivates you to be a little bit better for the consumer or whatever.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
Seeing that's pretty tough, and like in the Myrtle Beach area, like all the restaurants were known for like not doing anything extravagant because they didn't have to, because it was the only place that would serve that type of food. So no matter what, you'd have to go there.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to do anything extravagant. You just sold the food, and that's it. Yeah. And you're like in an old Denny's or something like that, and they didn't change anything. And then they just put a menu on the table, and that's it. It's like
quickest way to be complacent and to lose track of what's going to be important and how to continue to make sure your guests have a unique, different experience when they come in.
Yeah, sure. Sweet. Well, let's hit you with some hot seat questions.
Let's do it.
For starters, I would say the only thing that I saw that was negative reviews on you would be your costs. Mm-hmm. What would you say to that right now?
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. But from the beginning, we knew we wanted to offer a premium product. And we do that, the experience, some of those same reviews I see, we had a great time, but it was a little expensive.
Yeah.
And those I don't necessarily lose sleep at night. I want to be cognizant of that. And, but our customer experience, our guest experience has to match.
Absolutely.
If the review said service was horrible, the mini golf was lame, the axe throwing, couldn't even get an axe to stick, and it was so expensive, that's the ones that would kind of eat me up. And I do want everyone to enjoy group therapy. And so our other kind of side of that is having a great guest experience to match our cost, but also with a little bit of a higher cost, we can do more marketing promotions and specials, right? Which helps drive in business.
Absolutely.
Sure.
In just a short time, we've learned offering a buy one, get one half off, or family summer fun days where kids eat free with the purchase of kids mini golf really helps drive sales. And so we can keep our price a little bit higher, but offer a special discount on top of that to increase people coming in.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, cost is relative anyway. So, if you can't afford it, you can't afford it.
Well, as long as we are matching it with a value to our guests, we know that we're going to get those reviews from time to time, but yeah.
So tell me about the worst customer situation you've had. You're new in restaurant service. I know for a fact you get some Karens here and there. I know it. Tell me about your worst one.
We had a guy sitting at the bar, and it's so funny. I think people see me as being so young, they don't expect me to be the owner.
Yeah.
So they'll walk by, or I'll walk by, and they saw me in a nicer kind of polo shirt rather than a hoodie or shirt like everybody else, and they said, "Hey, are you the bar manager? Can I speak to the bar manager?" And we have 400 people in our building right now, and it's loud with karaoke, and there are probably 100 people lined up at that bar. And I said, well, no, but I'm the owner. And he was like, what? And he was like, well, I've had to freaking wait for, an hour for a drink and this, that, and the other. And this is ridiculous and blah, blah, blah. And I just looked at him and I said, man, it is New Year's Eve. and my patience was thin. I mean, it's hectic around there. And
absolutely.
You're trying to do everything all at one time. But you want to give that attention.
For sure.
I just was definitely taken aback from what I kind of thought was a really stupid question. But I was like, man, it's New Year's Eve, and these bartenders have been working a double today to try to provide you a great guest experience. And, there are going to be times we fall short. I just hope that you can show grace on a night like tonight.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's not like a
Monday
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like
New Year's Eve, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Gosh.
All right, go.
So mainly the one thing I was going to ask is, you've got the particular attractions, say with the mini golf and stuff like that. Is there a point that you think that those might get phased out and you would have to change that because maybe the locals or something are just constantly coming in, they've seen it, they don't want to come back because they've played that mini golf round or whatever? Like, you think you might have to change that up a bit?
Yeah, and we hope so. We hope we do. That's always been the intent, whether we stuck with one location or grew it to more. If we grow to more, what makes this really a fun opportunity is we could take the mini golf course from Greenville and put it into the second location and do a completely new one in Greenville.
Love
that's
that.
Smart. Yeah,
how cool is that?
Reuse it.
That is cool.
Yeah, I'm glad that you thought about that beforehand too.
Yeah,
that's
a really good thought.
Yeah.
So with these new locations coming up, you planning on like being corporate offices, franchises, license? What like, I don't know the restaurant or entertainment area, but what's your plan for those?
Yeah, the goal would be to continue to open owned and operated stores. I guess O&O.
Yep.
Kind of short.
Under one corporation.
Yeah, under one corporation. And once we grow that to 4 or 5 locations, I will have wanted during that time of opening those to be working on getting it ready to release for franchise.
Absolutely.
Smart.
I know too many people from the trampoline park industry and have those connections who also know people who would want to franchise, who know me, who would want to franchise something like this. They understand the market well from an entertainment component, who would want to do something like this and who have the means to do something like this. And honestly have the means to do this because of me, because I helped them build out their trampoline park. So I've already been approached by people who've been in my circles about franchising. And so I hope there is an opportunity to do that in the future.
Cool.
But I think it's wise to start with several owned and operated, do the proof of concept.
For sure.
Get the best markets,
Yep.
myself.
Yep.
And make sure those financials look good.
Absolutely.
And then you can really start busting it out for other people around the country.
For sure.
But there won't ever be a time where we aren't focused on opening up our own locations, because that's where a lot of the money is. But opening them up for others is definitely something on our plan for growth. Yeah.
Awesome.
Think you'd have any other different concepts? Like, would it just be this type of social lounge, or you think like escape rooms or something, anything like just entertainment in general?
1,000% yes. In Greenville, we have 19,000 square feet, but man, there's a model to do a group therapy in 15,000 square feet or maybe 30,000 square feet. You know what I would really want to bring back?
What's that?
Skating rinks.
Yes.
How old are you?
30.
30?
I went to the skating rink when I was young.
Yeah, they were cool when I was
My
younger.
kids still
yeah. Yeah.
All my birthday parties, I'm 34, so all my kid birthday parties were at a skating rink, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so
I hated
we're now that age where we would want to go do that again and maybe take our own kids there.
I just
stuff
can't
like that.
find it. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Well,
really
you can, but they're outdated.
They're outdated.
Yeah.
They still got the same carpet they had when I was in it 20 years ago. And I'm like,
Yeah.
What?
And they have that smell, right?
Yeah.
like
Like
dirty
an old
feet.
bowling alley.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. If you could
So-
spice that up a little bit, I think that'd be a major hit.
Yeah, could you imagine like a Top Golf lounge style seating along the side where you've got service with a staff and you've got the skating rink out there, but then during off-peak times that could be converted into something else. You could do cornhole tournaments and
I've seen that in they did it with a bowling alley in Myrtle Beach. It was called 710. They just like retrofitted it all and brought it up to date. It's like social lounge, video games. They had like cornhole, darts, but it was like an event, and then they built it a little bit bigger and it's done nothing but take off. I mean, it's crazy how those things are so outdated and never been brought up to the new age. And then once they are, it's like, well, people still enjoy bowling and still enjoy ice skating. So let's make it legitimate again.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
If you can create that brand that represents your guest and it's something that they want to go do, instead you've still got Skateland USA that is dated back in the 70s. Well, you're out of touch of your market now.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I kind of want to pair, like for Greenville folks, imagine pairing Bond style nightclub atmosphere with a skating rink. Like how freaking cool would that? A rave skating rink, you know?
Yeah, I think it'd be popular. Especially
So
now.
I think so too.
Like a TikTok lounge. You can do your dances in over there.
Yeah.
So you got any cool events coming up at Group Therapy?
We're going to do the anti-Valentine's Day party.
Okay.
You know,
No love allowed.
no love allowed. Yeah.
No couples allowed.
Yeah. We thought about doing Axe Your Ex, for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
As part of that.
Put a picture of your ex up on
Yeah, I'm still working through that. I mean, we are group therapy when we want to be inclusive and certainly not promoting that, but it's quite cheeky, quite fun.
No, I love it.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. And so for that, we're going to, we've had some conversations with the upstate, shoot, I've lost their name, but the group that puts on in the upstate puts on Salsa at Sunset. So bringing salsa dancing for the anti-Valentine's Day party, run a special on games and drinks and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
And bring people out, salsa dance and have fun inside. And we want to do one big party a quarter. So we think that'll be and it not be your typical ones.
Yeah.
So we think Valentine's Day, probably Christmas in July.
Yeah.
And then our Halloween party, and then the New Year's will be our 4 core events, and then monthly we'll do maybe smaller programming and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sweet.
So if people are trying to keep track of these events, where's the best place to find them? Is it through the Facebook, social media, website? Where do people figure out more about group therapy?
Well, if you're on our subscription list, and
you know about us.
You know about it. Yeah, if you've been to group therapy, you've gotten on our subscription list somehow, one way or the other. So we do a lot of posts on social media about our events, and that's where you can learn a lot about what's coming up. And then closer to the date, we normally send out emails. But our social medias are at grouptherapy.fun. That's our website, grouptherapy.fun. We're not a .com, we're a .fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
I noticed that, and I thought it was so badass.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
I usually like to ask 2 questions before we finish. One being, what's a business related book that's resonated with you that kind of you would recommend to somebody to read this year?
I would say Dare to Lead by Brene Brown.
Okay.
Brene Brown is a shame researcher, and she really puts language to the feelings that you have that maybe keep you from being able to be a good leader on your team, but then other practical ways of how you can lead with vulnerability. So she talks a lot about vulnerability in her books, and how basically being vulnerable doesn't have to be a weakness. It can really help you relate to your team and become a better leader by having a shared experience with other staff and having them see that side of you.
Cool.
Awesome.
The last question I like to ask is, what's a quote that sits with you, something that comes to the top of your head?
The first one that comes to mind is The Man in the Arena. I'll summarize it rather than looking it up. It was by Teddy Roosevelt. He gave a speech, and I think they've called it the Man in the Arena speech. Basically, it's not about the guys up in the nosebleed sections who are yelling at you. It's you who are down in the arena, fighting. If you've seen the movie Gladiator or something, you're the one with dust and mar and blood and sweat and tears on your face in the arena. Those guys in the cheap seats are gonna yell the loudest. They're gonna be the ones that criticize you the most. But it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. They don't mean anything. It's you. And even if you do fail, at least you were the one in the arena doing the work. And so that resonated a lot when I was opening this business, because of course I had all the fears that come with being an entrepreneur and opening up your own business on whether this is going to be successful or not. And but that's what really kept me going, is to know, even if I do, you know what, I took the chance, because at some point the risk of not doing anything at all becomes greater than the risk of doing it.
Trying. Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Awesome.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, well,
That's perfect.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you coming out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming out.
Yeah,
man.
of course. Love
Yeah.
doing it.
Happy New Year. Hopefully everything works out and we can, I got to get in there. I've never been to group therapy,
Yeah.
so I've got to make sure we go check it out.
It's fine, man.
For
We
sure.
have to go.
Yeah.
We'll do a double date.
Sounds good. Well,
Yeah.
thanks for coming out, man. Nice meeting you, and I appreciate listening to your story.
Yeah, of course. Thanks.
Come on, man.